China's Moonshot AI just dropped Kimi K3, a 2.8 trillion parameter open weight model, and it is the largest openly available AI model in the world right now. Released July 17, 2026, it narrows the gap with Anthropic's Claude and OpenAI's GPT 5.6 Sol, and in some agentic benchmarks it pulls ahead. Here is what actually changed, and why it matters for anyone building on AI this week. The headline number is 2.8 trillion parameters in a mixture of experts' architecture, with a 1 million token context window. For context, that context length matches or exceeds most frontier closed models, and the parameter count puts it in the same weight class as the largest models ever trained. Moonshot says full open weights will be available by July 27, which is the part that changes the calculus for developers. You can self-host a frontier class model instead of paying per token to a US provider. On benchmarks, Kimi K3 scores around 57 on the intelligence index, narrowly ahead of Claude Opus 4.8 at 56. On the GDP Val Agentic benchmark, Kimi K3 hit an ELO of 1668 versus 1600 for Opus 4.8. The evaluation suite includes DeepSet Wii 1.0 Next.js evals, BrowseComp, Bullshit Bench version 2, Terminal Bench 2.1, and MCP Atlas. Translation: they tested it hard on real agent tasks, not just trivia, and it held up. It still trails Claude Fable 5 and GPT 5.6 Sol on overall performance, so the framing is closes the gap, not takes the crown. Pricing tells you where Moonshot is aiming. API input is $3 per million tokens. Output is $15 per million. That is aggressively competitive against US frontier APIs, and it ships with an always-on thinking mode for reasoning. So, you get a frontier agentic model at a fraction of the token cost of the incumbents, with the option to drop the API entirely and run the weights locally once they release. That is the real threat to the US lead, not raw benchmark scores. The geopolitical angle is unavoidable. This lands the same week the US and China are escalating over AI export controls and compute access. A Chinese startup publishing a 2.8 trillion parameter open weight model 1 week before full weights drop is a direct counter to the narrative that export controls are strangling Chinese AI progress. Whether that narrative was ever true is a separate question, but Kimi K3 is now the exhibit people will cite on both sides. If you are building on AI right now, the practical move is to watch July 27. That is when full open weights are promised. If the weights land and inference is feasible on available hardware, Kimi K3 becomes a serious self-host option for agentic workloads, especially for teams that hit token cost ceilings with US providers. Until then, the API at $3 input per million tokens is worth a test against your actual workload, not the benchmark leaderboard. That is the Kimi K3 situation. Open weights July 27th. Frontier class agentic performance, and a price point that forces the incumbents to respond. If this episode was useful, subscribe for short AI tech briefings every week and drop a topic you want covered in the comments. See you next episode.